Hello friends, welcome back once again in the video lecture series of operating system. Its subject code is 1618305. Today I am going to teach you unit number 2. Its name is process, right? And I am going to teach you lecture number 8, whose name is system programmer's view of processes part 2. This is my name and designation. Fine. So without going deeper into the content in the video, let us talk about what are the important topics that I will going to be cover in this video. First, about system structure I will discuss. Next, I will discuss about layered approach. After that, I will also tell you something about virtual machines. Then I will teach you IO structure. After that, I will teach you about storage structure, and lastly I will summarize all the above topic that I have covered in this video lecture, and perhaps I will also give you good references. So let's start with the first topic, that is what is system structure. Okay, so operating system is a concept that allows the application program to interact with the system hardware. See, what are the application program that is being constructed? So operating system allows those application program to interact with the system hardware very well. Operating, as we all know, that operating system is very complex in nature, so it should be created with almost all the care which is used and can be modified easily. An easier way to create the operating system is in parts, means separately we should develop the operating system, because as a whole it will, if we will design it, then it will be very complicated. Okay, according to their various features, basically it is divided up into two parts. One is your simple structure and second one is your layered approach. So let us talk about simple structure first. So there are several commercial systems which is, so such operating system begins small, simple, and they are having limited system, then it will grow gradually, right? MS DOS is a very good example of such type of system. It is not divided into module, right? And next one is your another example of limited structuring is your Unix operating system, which is also known as a very secured operating system. So this is a very good well diagram of your system structure of an operating system, where we can easily watching here, that is application program is directly communicating with ROM, that is your BIOS device driver, and after application program there is a resistant system program, resistance system program, resident system program is also communicating with your ROM. We are having MS DOS driver, right, and it is also directly communicating with the hardware. ये जो फिगर जो बता रहा है वो ये बता रहा है कि डिफरेंट डिफरेंट जो एप्लीकेशन प्रोग्राम थे वो कैसे डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली आपके कंप्यूटर हार्डवेयर से ताल्लुक रखते हैं, राइट? So let's talk about next approach, that is known as your layered approach. So in layered approach, what is going to happen? The entire OS is broken up into several layers, right? Okay. The bottom layer is hardware and topmost layer is layer N, which is known as user interface. Okay. The main approach is layered approach, which is also known as modularity. Means what? That means every layer, the entire system, operating system is divided into layers with having different modules. These layers select such that each user functions and services of only the layer. Means every layer is having its own function which is providing the services to the, ultimately they are providing the services to the user. This approach simplifies the debugging and system verification. अगर आपका अगर ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम चूंकि बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड होता है, इफ इट विल बी बाइफरकेटेड इनटू लेयर्ड अप्रोच, देन उसका डिबगिंग और सिस्टम का वेरिफिकेशन इट इज वेरी it will be very easy. Okay, some more points about layered approach. Okay, what is the first point? Next point, that is once first layer is debugged, its correct functioning is assumed while second layer is debugging and so on. यानी पहले फर्स्ट लेयर हमारा डिबग होता है, अगर वो अगर डिबग हो गया, अगर डिबग होने का मतलब क्या है कि that layer will perform its task well, then we will go to debug the second layer. If an error is found during the debugging in the particular layer, the error must be on that layer only, right? That means जो एक एक लेयर को हम लोग डिबग करेंगे और डिबग करने के बाद तभी हम लोग नेक्स्ट लेयर में जाएंगे. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि द एरर विल बी ट्रांसफर टू द नेक्स्ट लेयर. The design and implementation of the system is simplified when the system is broken into layers. See, the designing of operating system is very complex, so it's very good to design it in the layering approach. Okay, each layer is implemented using only the operation provided by the lower layer. Whatever the implementation which is provided by the lower layer, it will get the benefit to the next higher layer. Then a layer does not need to know how the operations are implemented, it only needs the know to do the operation very well. That means what, ये इस तरीके का जो लेयर होता है, it is not concerned with the how the performance is going on, but what the task we have to do, the layer has to do, it is concerned with that layer only. Okay, the layer approach was first used in operating system. It was defined in 6 layers because see, there are totally six layers which is used in your architecture of the operating system. So this is the Venn diagram of your layered approach. Here we are watching that this is a processor, this is main memory, this is device, ये पूरा का पूरा मेरा हार्डवेयर सेक्शन है. This is my IO subsystem which is directly connection with the several subsystem which is your application softwares or system softwares. Okay, so this IO subsystem is maintaining the bridge between this application software and computer hardware. In IO subsystem we are having so many things like your anti-executive, anti-kernel, hardware abstract layer, right? So this is known as your supervisor. ये supervisor that is hardware supervisor, and इसके ऊपर जो है वो है हमारा यूजर का सेक्शन है. यूजर के सेक्शंस में अपने कुछ उसके लाइब्रेरी फाइल्स हो सकते हैं. The user may have its own number of process. This is one process, second process, third process, right? And they can have their own subsystem. So basically this IO system is meant for process management, that is managing the process, memory management, management of memory, file management, how the files are being managed, and basically device management, right? Okay, so let's talk about the next topic which is also very important, that is your virtual machine. What is a virtual machine? So virtual machine is a technique through which an operating system can create the illusion of multiple processes. See, virtual machine में क्या होता है कि actually machine is not realistically, it is virtually present, and what we are doing, we are just creating the operating system, designing the operating system in such a way that it creates the illusion that we are having multiple processes and they are executing its own processor and own virtual memory, right? Next one is your processor is provided a virtual copy to the underlying computer. The resources of the computer are shared to create the virtual machine. Basically, according to the process, according to the need, the processors are providing the virtual copy, right? And the resources of these computers are shared to create the virtual machines. Okay, CPU scheduling can be used to create appearance of the user which is having its own processor. CPU scheduling I will teach you in depth when I will teach you process management. So CPU scheduling is used to create the appearance of such type of processors. How it is implemented? Virtual machine concept is very useful, but it is difficult to implement since much effort is required to provide the exact duplicate of the underlying machine. See, it is very useful, but it is hypothetical. That is why it is quite difficult to implement such type of. So let's talk about CPU as in multi-programming technique. So nowadays days we are using the operating system in which CPU is having multi-program fashion, right? So basically CPU is multi-programmed among several virtual machine, which slows down the virtual machine is very low in various ways. That means implementing the multi-programming in virtual machine is not at all fruitful, and it performance will drastically drop down. A major difficulty with this approach regarding is disk system. That means accessing of disk system will be difficult. So this is the good diagram of your virtual machine, right? Here we are having hardware, and on that this is your virtual machine monitor. Above that we are having different virtual machine. These are the different virtual machines, and we are having separate OS for every virtual machine. That is why it is little bit complicated, right? Okay, fine. So let's talk about IO structure. What do you mean by IO structure? Let's talk one by one. So a general purpose computer system consists of CPU with multiple device controller. That means every device is having its own controller, personal controller, which is connected by the common bus. That is bus system. A device controller maintains the buffer storage and a set of special purpose register. It is the responsibility of device controller to maintain the storage of buffer and the set of special purpose register. Okay, it is also responsible for moving the data between peripherals and buffer. Very important. Who does care of all these things? It is the device controller which moves the data between peripheral devices and buffer. Okay, what is an IO interrupt? IO interrupt. To start an IO operation, CPU loads appropriate register within the device controller. That is known as your IO interrupt, right? Before execution, IO operation, CPU generally loads the appropriate register within the device controller. For example, suppose a device controller finds a read request, then controller will start the transferring the data from device to buffer. See, whenever you want to go for a read request, at that time the data will be transferred from device to the buffer, and it will be done by your some controller, right? And one of that controller is known as your IO interrupt. Okay, in the simplest case of IO is started, then at IO completion, control is returned to the user process, right? And this is known as synchronous IO. What is the IO? What is the IO? That means whenever user gives some command, the IO is started, because commands is given by the IO only, right? And after the completion of the task of the user, when the user gets the result, then this IO completion control will be returned to the user process. The other possibility is asynchronous. What is asynchronous? In which the control is returns to the user program without waiting of the IO completion. See, when our task is complete, then IO completion control is when it is submitted to the user process, then it is known as synchronous IO. And what is asynchronous IO? That it is returned to the user's program without waiting the IO completion. यानी कि IO completion अभी मेरा हुआ नहीं है, लेकिन उसका जो कंट्रोल है उसने कहाँ सबमिट कर दिया अपने आप को, यूजर प्रोसेस को. So such type of IO is known as asynchronous IO. So let's talk about some more IO structure. DMA. What is DMA? Direct memory access. Direct memory access is also very fast accessing. It is done, basically it is done in the absence of the CPU, right? So DMA is used for high speed IO devices. ये उस समय यूज होता है जबकि हमें ज्यादा से ज्यादा इंटरेक्शन आपका शेयर्ड मेमोरी के साथ करना पड़ता है, तो वहां पे हर बार सीपीयू की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है, इसलिए वहां पे हम लोग इस तरीके का डीएमए या डीएमए कंट्रोलर का हम लोग यूज करते हैं, राइट. In this access, the interrupt is generated per clock rather than interrupt per bytes, right? So instead of the interrupt is generating per byte, here it is generating at the rate of per block. The operating system finds buffer from pool of the buffer for transfer. So इसका mainly काम कहाँ होता है? Operating system is to find a buffer from the pool buffer for transfer, right. Basically such type of event is occurring when we want high speed of input output device which is to be shared with the main memory. Some portion of operating system which is also known as device drivers is sets the DMA to use appropriate source and destination address, right. It is the responsibility of some part of operating system so as to set the DMA register to use appropriate source and destination addresses. DMA controller is then instructed to start IO operation, and DMA controller is performing the data transfer. After that, CPU is free to perform other tasks. See, whenever we want to do some IO operation, so at that time DMA controller has to instruct the IO for starting their operation, and then the actual data transfer begins. This type of memory is generally transferred only one word at a time, right? And DMA controller steals the memory cycle from the CPU. That is what earlier I have already told you, that whenever we are having high data speed, when we are having when we are requiring high data speed, at that time DMA controller prohibits the CPU to take the participate in this one, right. This cycle stealing can slow down the CPU execution while DMA transfer is in progress. ऐसा करने से CPU का जो एग्जीक्यूशन साइकिल है डेफिनेटली वो स्लो जरूर हो जाता है, लेकिन अगर हम इसको अगर देखें, ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस अगर देखें सिस्टम का, बाय यूजिंग योर DMA, सो इट इंक्रीजेस. So let's talk about something about this storage structure. Basically it is we are dealing with the storage. So storage structure of the computer consists of two types of memory, as we all know. That is main memory. Main memory is also known as your primary memory, and second one is your secondary memory. So basically programs and data are resetted in the main memory for execution. These programs and data are not stored permanently in the main memory. ऐसा क्यों होता है? Whenever we want to perform some execution, the program and data should be bring to the main memory, but it is not permanently stored there, because first the memory size of the size of the memory is very small as compared to the secondary storage, right, and it is your volatile in nature. Due to these two reasons, it is not being stored in the main memory permanently, right. So main memory and their registers are only stored the area that CPU can access the data, right. That means the entire program is not stored in the main memory. Only that segment of the program will be stored in the main memory, which can be easily accessed by the CPU. Okay, what is RAM? RAM is the part of your main memory, which is also known as a random access memory. And basically, when we are talking about main memory, so DRAM, that is dynamic RAM, is used in this execution, which forms an array of memory or cell. These dynamic RAM are sequentially, by default it is sequentially in nature, but as per the demand of the execution it may vary. So instruction क्या है is performed through the sequence of load and store instruction to the specific addresses. बेसिकली मेमोरी में हमारे पास डिफरेंट एड्रेसेस होते हैं और सीपीयू चाहता है कि उन सारे इंस्ट्रक्शन को बारी बारी से ले. ठीक है, बारी बारी से लेने का मतलब क्या है कि वो सीक्वेंशियली ले अकॉर्डिंग टू द मेमोरी एड्रेसेस. Okay, next one is your secondary storage. What is secondary storage? It is the commonly storage which is also known as your hard disk, and it is of two types, that is your magnetic disk and magnetic tapes, right, which can store the data permanently. Let's talk about magnetic disk first. It provides the bulk storage data for the modern system, right. आजकल हम लोग मैग्नेटिक डिस्क यूज कर रहे हैं, पहले हम लोग यूज करते थे मैग्नेटिक टेप, right. Okay, so one of the example is that CD, and CD is nothing but it is a circular disc which is having the diameter of the platter is 1.8 to 5.25 inches, right. So on the basis of that platter, the data is saved on that platter. So they are having they are having टू सरफेस ऑफ प्लेटर, एक ऊपर की तरफ होता है और दूसरा नीचे की तरफ होता है, और आपका जो डेटा है वो दोनों ही तरफ आपका ये रिकॉर्ड हो सकता है, राइट. ओके फाइन. सो द रीड एंड राइट हेड are attached to the disk arm which moves the all the heads as a unit. See, एक डिस्क आर्म होता है जो कि दोनों प्लेट के ऊपर अटैच होता है ताकि दोनों तरफ के डेटा को हम लोग इजीली हम लोग रीड कर सकें और उसको अगर राइट करना हो तो हम लोग उसको राइट भी कर सकें. फर्दर, दिस सरफेस प्लेटर इज लॉजिकली डिवाइडेड इनटू सर्कुलर ट्रैक्स which is also known as sectors, right. Okay, now let's talk about something about magnetic tapes. It is used in the earlier secondary storage medium. जैसा कि मैंने ऑलरेडी बताया कि पहले के जमाने में हम लोग मैग्नेटिक टेप्स का यूज करते थे, राइट. इट कैन स्टोर परमानेंट एंड होल्ड द लार्ज क्वांटिटी ऑफ डेटा. बेसिकली मैग्नेटिक टेप और मैग्नेटिक डिस्क में क्या फर्क था? बेसिकली फर्क ये था कि अगर मैग्नेटिक टेप में अगर हम लोग अगर किसी डेटा को अगर स्टोर कर रहे हैं तो जब तक से कि बिल्कुल ये कैसेट की तरह काम करता था कि कैसेट का जब तक से गाना नंबर 1 या 2 अगर हम लोग नहीं सुनेंगे तो गाना नंबर 3 पे हम लोग नहीं जा पाएंगे. तो दैट इज द मेन फीचर ऑफ द मैग्नेटिक टेप which slow down the performance of the secondary storage. That is why it is given here, that is the access time is very slow, right, as compared to any other disk. Means magnetic tape का जो access time है वो आपके magnetic disk से भी कम है. So it is sequential in nature, जैसे कि मैंने बताया था. That is why random access of magnetic tape is 1000 times lower than that of random access to magnetic disk. Means sequential accessing की वजह से इसका जो परफॉर्मेंस है बहुत ज्यादा डिग्रेड हो जाता है, right? Okay, fine. So let's talk about summary. What we have studied in this. See, operating system is very complicated in structure. We all know. Secondly, it should be created with utmost care, that is it is used and modified easily. That means जो डिजाइनिंग जो होती है ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम का इस तरीके से होना चाहिए सो दैट कि वी कैन, इफ यू वांट टू मॉडिफाई इट, वी कैन मॉडिफाई इट इजीली. Operating system are generally designed in parts because of its complications. They are also having layering approach, and layering approach means what? Basically, layering approach is dealing with the modularity. That is, each layer is having its own modules. The layer are selected in such a way that they are having their own functions and user. Right? Okay, fine. So the solution to provide a virtual disk which is identical in all respect, that is expected in size. Okay, there are some mini disks which are used by IBM, and it was known as VMOS, right? VM means virtual machine, OS means operating system, right? So these are also known as your mini disk. The sum of the sizes of the mini disk should be less than the amount of the physical disk which is available. That means what? The sum of the मिनी डिस्क शुड बी, जो मिनी डिस्क के जो साइज होते हैं, अगर उसको अगर टोटल भी कर दिया जाए तो एक्चुअल फिजिकल डिस्क से वो हमेशा कम होने चाहिए, राइट? ओके, नेक्स्ट वन इज योर, let's talk about memory, main memory. It is too small to store the entire program and data permanently. Basically this is volatile in nature, and when the power gets off, it will vanish, it will clear the data. The main memory and registers are only the storage area that CPU can access. That means CPU can access the data which is present in the main memory. It cannot means interact with the hard disk directly. Random access memory is one of the good example of main memory, and especially there are two types of RAM, SRAM and DRAM, and whenever we want to execute some instruction, so DRAM, that is dynamic RAM, is very much popular in the execution. So these are some references I have provided for some books also. For this, I will suggest you to go for Peter Bear Galvin. That is one of the good books. And after that, you can also go for your Patterson, Abraham, Schulze, right? If you want to go for some URL, you may visit these two sites. And moreover, if you want to go for some YouTube lectures, so you may go for such type of YouTube videos. So thank you so much for watching this Unit 2, Lecture number 8, System Programming, a System Programmer's View of Process. Second, have a nice day.